Hello, this is the Hawks on Podcast Show. I am Zoe, and I am joined with my beautiful wife,
Gabby.
and we are here for this week's episode. I am feeling a little under the weather, so if I'm sounding pretty weird right now, like that's because my throat really fucking hurts, and my head is about to explode. But I will stay here with you guys throughout this episode. What are we talking about today, Gabby?
Today we are going to talk about Black Eyed Children, or I think the more commonly known on the internet is Black Eyed Kids, but I first heard of them as Black Eyed Children. Um,
What
what?
What is Black Eyed Kids, Black Eyed Children? I don't really know much.
They are, I don't know, it's interesting. It's more of a folklore type thing. I want to preface this by saying you guys learned last week that I don't really believe in any of this stuff. There's no evidence for me to believe this, but I do enjoy researching the creepy side of things. Um, Basically, what this urban legend kind of is kids between the ages of 6 to 16. I found a lot of different age ranges, but the basic one seems to be 6 to 16. And they are dressed usually in like a hoodie with jeans or kind of like just outdated clothes. And they'll like come to your door or your car door, knock, and they'll like, hey, can I use your phone? Can I use your bathroom? Can you give me a ride home? And at first they'll sound kind of sweet and innocent about it. And apparently, like, I don't know, here, let me just, the,
Sounds like a lost puppy.
well, kind of. The origin of this started from Brian Bethel. Apparently, he sent, like, this Gmail group message thing and it got leaked to the internet, supposedly. But he lived in Texas and he drove to drop off. This is what year is this? On August 28th, 1997. He went to go to a Dropbox to drop off what do you call it? A bill. He went to go pay a bill and, drop it in the mailbox. Well, he parked in front of a movie theater and just to use the light so he could write his check. Apparently, they were showing the movie Mortal Kombat that night. And these two kids came up to his door. One was a really tall one with real pale skin. And the other one was younger, shorter, and he had red curly hair and freckles. And the kid was just like, hey, knocking on his door, and he was asking, he's like, we left our money at home. Could you give us a ride home so we could go and watch, see the movie Mortal Kombat? Well,
Wait,
what?
what year was this?
Okay, so you caught it. It's only because you're a movie buff. But yeah, it was in 1997.
1997. All right. Okay, making sure.
And he said that they looked innocent, but he had an unreasonable fear. And that's what most, like, the more research I've done into this, that's what a lot of people say. It, like, chilled their blood and they, like, froze. They couldn't move. And they were just looking at these kids, but these kids seemed innocent enough, so they kept, talking to him. And he realized that the last showing had already happened. Zoe's grabbing a tissue because his nose is running. But anyway, like, it was really late at night and the last showing had happened. So he was kind of confused. And like the boy who was talking, the older boy, he just kind of kept getting, firmer. Still like asking questions, but just started to be like commanding, like, you need to let us in the car. You're going to let us in the car and drive us to home. And basically, it says here, I'm reading this off of anomalyinfo.com. I'm sorry, I'm one of those people that can't say the word right. Hopefully you know what I mean. But he looks the boy in the eyes and realizes that they had no irises or pupils. It was just one big black orb for his eyes. Or two, I guess, because he had two eyes. But and he just had apparently a horrified look on his face, and the boy clearly got angry, and he was like, "We won't hurt you. You have to let us in. We don't have a gun." Stuff like that. And he pulled away. He got out of there once he realized, like, that he could, basically. So that's where it all started. He also, one of his friends who, like, never told him the story, never knew anything about these children, said he had a similar encounter with black-eyed children. So now it's just kind of become this thing on the internet. It's evolved more and more into different things. But because I'm a skeptic, first off, the movie Mortal Kombat was released in 1995, not 97. So I'm not sure why it was playing in a movie theater in 97. Because, like, it was a big point in his thing. Like, I mean, and it could have been, like, a movie showing older movies. We had one of those where we lived. It would just show movies at a date in the movie theater. But I don't know. Basically, these kids just try and draw you in. They seem innocent. They're kind of hiding themselves, but they have completely black eyes.
So they're kind of like Damien, the Antichrist.
Kind of, I guess.
Except, so they're just really freaking creepy. Really fucking creepy, right? I mean,
they're really creepy, and like, just, I've read a lot of stories, and most of the time, what happens to the adults, usually they're alone. Sometimes it's like a wife with a husband, but usually it's just alone, and there's two or more kids knocking on your door. You open it and you freeze in fear, but you're listening to this kid trying to let you convince them to come in the house. Because they're just little kids and they need help. And for some people, like, their arms starts to move for no reason, like, letting them in until they realize what they're doing, and they, close the door.
So it's like vampires. They have that little mysticism thing. Well, at least that's what, shows like...
The lore.
Yeah. Portray it where they can, like, convince you.
I don't really know. Vampires never come up on, like, what they are. I don't know if they're, like, their own little sub thing of black-eyed children. But the names I've seen kind of around the internet are they're skinwalkers, they're ghosts of children past, they're experiments from the government that got out,
True.
or the most common one is aliens.
Aliens.
I know, isn't that a weird one for that one to be the most common one?
And there's no anal probe, huh?
No. There's one story...
I'm kidding, not all alien stories deal with anal probes. Those are just the funniest ones.
Why is that funny? That doesn't seem funny to me.
Well, you're incapable of any type of sense of humor, so...
I have a wonderful sense of humor, thank you very much. You just can't understand it.
Maybe I'm the one with no sense of humor. Oh my god, I'm a psychopath.
Well, yeah, but that's a discussion for another day.
Okay. Yep. We'll talk about that at a later day, guys.
But yeah, there's always more than one, though. They're, like, either in pairs. There's been a couple stories where there's 3, or there's been a story where, like, more, this person sees more showing up as the kid keeps talking. But only one child speaks. Only one child will be talking to you.
Hello. Can I come in for some milk and cookies?
Well, basically, it escalates to that. In every single one, the commonality is the child starts off with, "Can I come in and use your phone? We're lost and we need to call our parents." That's another thing. They're always talking about their parents. They need to call their parents.
Okay.
And it just starts out nice, but the more you resist them, the more angry it gets.
So there's probably there's a missing part of the lore then.
Well, okay, I read a story. I don't know how, like, that. Well, I mean,
Because I just feel like if their goal is to come in and call their parents, I don't know. I just feel like there's an element to that, you know?
well,
I don't know if that. I mean, I don't know if it's like the biggest thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'd be more of an origin of like if these black-eyed children are real, it could actually tell you something of like point to like a specific case of like I don't know, maybe missing boys or something, you know? Because I mean, you said that one of the possibilities of black-eyed children are ghosts.
Yep.
So, lost kids, you know.
Yeah.
Died and shit like that, then maybe there's something to that. Or I mean, at the same time, with stuff like this, it's easy to really connect the dots on simple, generic stuff like that. So I don't know.
It is. It's. I don't know. I think it started out. It's definitely morphed. In really early postings, like from the original posting, a few years on, it sticks to boys. It was two boys, and they were both wearing hoodies. Very
Hoodie
pale.
boys.
What?
Hoodie boys.
They were both pale. There's never like a black kid or anything. They're always pale white skin, dark eyes, and if they smile, their teeth are like unusually white.
Attack of the Hitler Youth. Oh my god.
Oh my god, stop. And as it goes on, it kind of morphs to sometimes there's a girl there, sometimes they're not wearing hoodies, they're just wearing cardigans. Usually their clothes are outdated, like the newer ones from like 2016, 17, 18, they're always like their clothes are outdated, like they're wearing whitewashed jeans or a cardigan or something. But like from the really earlier postings, I know that sounds weird.
A cardigan is outdated? There's tons of people that wear cardigans nowadays.
It doesn't mean it's in style.
I thought you were going to say like they wear like old like 70s English schoolboy outfits.
No, but another commonality is that the boys will have a bowl cut,
Okay.
which is very outdated.
Yep, I had those when I was a kid.
Yeah, so like it's like from like the 90s when this whole lore started. That's the fashion that the kids kind of just stay with.
Fucking Dawson's Creek showing up your door. Just
Oh my God, it is
let me
Dawson's
in. I need to find Joey.
I need to find Joey.
Some freaking I don't want to wait forever to be over.
So yeah, usually how the stories go is just they'll knock, the adult gets creeped out, they see the eyes, and they're able to snap out of the trance that these kids have them in, and they're able to close the door, run away, or whatever. But I did find one story on the internet where the person let them in the house.
Ooh. What happened?
Okay, so it was a wife and husband. They had I think it was an 18-month-old baby and a little puppy. Well, the dog started going crazy, so the wife woke up the husband and said, "I'm going to go downstairs and just show the dog that there's nothing outside." So she went downstairs, opened the door, and there was a freaking kid there. Two. It was two girls.
I thought they were generally boys.
They are. This is a newer story. This one was posted in, I think, 2018. I don't have it right in front of me. But like I said, it morphs. So I don't know if this one is, like, true. If this person, like, genuinely believed they saw this or if it's just a BS posting. But I think it's just fun to think like what the outcome would be if you let them in. Because the whole point is that they don't get in. That's how you survive.
All right. Well, the story. What was the outcome?
The story was they let these kids in and they come into the living room and they just kind of sit there quietly, like as stilly as they can. Is that a word?
As still as they can.
As
yes.
still as they can.
Stilly.
And the wife walks off. She's the one telling the story. She walks off to make them some hot chocolate or something. And she comes back and her husband is holding his head in his hands. Like, he's like, I'm just really dizzy all of a sudden. And the kids are like, our parents will be here soon. And they just try and get some information out of them. Anything, their names, where they're from, how they got lost. And the only thing the kids will say is, our parents will be here soon. Then all of a sudden, the electricity goes out. Lights go off, everything.
Ooh.
And the kids look up with their black eyes. And they say, our parents are here. And all of a sudden, the door flings open. And she said she saw these two black figures like out walking towards them. And at this point, both their heads are hurting. Her husband has a nosebleed. So they close the door. And if I remember correctly, the kids just vanish. And that's it. But afterwards, the husband has continuous nosebleeds, which he's never had before. They had several cats. 2 disappeared. And 1 died. He was in a puddle of blood. And they took it to the vet and he said that the cat had a hemorrhage or something. Like the cat just died for no reason. And the husband develops this skin cancer that's really common if you like use a tanning bed too much. And
Melanoma.
Something like that, yeah. And he's just like, I've never used a tanning bed. He has an office job inside. He's not really out in the sun. Like, there's no reason for him to have this cancer. They both get random dizzy spells. Like, there's no end to her story. It was posted really recently. And she says that she let the kids in and now they're slowly dying.
Crazy.
But apparently,
that's a little weird.
That's not what you would expect. You would expect the kids to just, like, go crazy and eat you or something. At least that's what I thought.
But they left, like, a disease.
Yeah, something to slowly kill them. And it didn't seem to be the kids. It seemed to be the parents. The creepy figures who were walking up.
Is this, like, an offshoot of, like, the whole Slender Man thing?
I don't know. It's kind of sounded like it. Like if Slender Man had a Slender Woman.
Because I'm not, like, super into Slender Man. I mean, I really liked that game that came out that I played forever when that first came out. But, like, from what I hear, there's, like, such a huge universe. It's, like, Slender Man and, like, mansions and surrogates and, like, I don't know, like, some crazy thing. I mean, like those 2 girls in Minnesota or whatever who took their friend down the forest to stab her to death, you know?
Yeah.
And it was a sacrifice to Slender Man, and we're supposed to go to the mansion and all this stuff. And, I mean, I don't know. So maybe I wonder if it's like an offshoot of, like, Slender Man or something, this black-eyed children.
I don't know. When did Slender Man, like, start coming to be?
Honestly, I do not know. I mean, like I said, I don't really know much about it other than, like, the basics of what he is and where you find him and stuff like that. I mean, this whole Slender Man thing is actually so much bigger than you actually think. I mean, hell, it's that whole thing caught on so much, like, on the web and stuff like that. You can find, like, Slender Man porn. It's like creepypasta.
That is information I did not need.
It's like creepypasta, but it's Slender Man and he just ends up fucking somebody.
God.
Huh?
That's messed up. That's gross.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm just curious in case it's Black Eyed Children or something off that, or if it's something completely
Well,
on its own because you said like two shadowy figures. I mean, I guess that's technically not like the Slender Man, but they're also seeing it from a distance. So for all we know, it could be like something more like
they are.
that. So
But something like I really don't think the Black Eyed Children are a spinoff off of like Slenderman or anything.
I'm not saying it's like a
Because
spinoff, but it's like an add to its universe and world.
I really don't think so. Because something the Black Eyed Children have that Slenderman doesn't is now it's all fictional, but there was a short series on YouTube about them, about the Black Eyed Children, about trying to find them and discover them. I haven't watched it, but off of that came a horror movie, which yes, Slenderman just come out. I know. Um,
Haven't seen it and probably won't see it unless it's on Netflix.
no, but there's a movie called The Black Eyed Children, Let Me In. It's a horror movie. It's about this, documentary guy. I think it's supposed to be like Blair Witch style.
Oh, okay, first person type of thing.
Something like that.
Mockumentary.
Because he's trying to go out and find them, and it's like classified as a horror movie. Once again, haven't seen it. I really didn't have a lot of time to research this. It was kind of a surprise that I was going to be leading the conversation today. But also something like even more interesting I found. There are books on the Black Eyed Children, like legit people's like interactions with them. I think one book looks legit to me. One book looks like this guy really went out and took the time to research, discover, and like use his own instances. Like, people take the Black Eyed Children, way more seriously than they do Slenderman. Slenderman is like a creepypasta made for game type thing. The Black Eyed Children, that's a lore that a real person made, and like I say, supposedly his private emails got leaked about it.
Did a fake person make up Slenderman?
No, a real person did, but he wrote it on creepypasta, and there's a video game about it. Like, to me, the lore of the Black Eyed Children is much more like a lore, like vampires and all that stuff. Slenderman isn't. He's kind of like the boogeyman, you know? But the Black Eyed Children, like, black eyes have been seen as the source of evil, like a demon inside of you for years. For a long, long time. Your eyes being black and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not really Slenderman. This, I could see being a lore. Like, if you, like, do real research back in time, you could probably find more things about black-eyed people.
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting thought. I don't know. Whenever I think of black eyes, I think about like a demon or like Damien from The Omen, the little Antichrist come to kill the Earth, I guess, and stuff. So, I mean, black eyes always seemed a little interesting to me. I don't know. Because you can find stuff out there where people voluntarily, like, try to... I swear, like, I read somewhere one time where these people were, like, injecting ink into their eyeball to try to make it, like...
Like
black, like, dark.
There's people tattoo their eyeballs.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that just seems unnecessary and dangerous.
Oh,
I feel like you would blind yourself by injecting ink into your eyeball.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, black eyes, they're something I feel like surrounds everywhere, you know, when it comes to something sort of evil and possibly like supernatural or something like that, you know? Like, and like I said, demons, devils, gods. I feel like you see it probably in like the hoodoo culture. Don't
What?
I don't know that for sure, but I just feel like when it involves hoodoo or voodoo or, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the movies, they portray sometimes their eyes go black involved in some sort of ceremony and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I mean, at the same time, that's film. I don't know a lot about hoodoo or voodoo, so don't kill me because I said that. I mean, So I'm just kind of talking free here.
Yeah, just trying to relate it back to something. I get you.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, there's like black eyes are in a lot of different things involving, especially something evil in different cultures. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
so. Just wonder what culture the black-eyed children come from.
I don't know.
Do they say what type of what like? Do they have like an accent when they speak, or is it just
No.
like, "I'm a kid"?
No, it just says they sound like a child. But
Well, children do have accents. That's why I'm asking.
well, okay, smartass. What I'm saying is they sound like children, but they don't talk like children. Does that make sense?
Are you meaning like the sound of their voice, or like their grammar?
Like more like their grammar. Like the guy who started it, Brian Bethel, he said that um they were children and they sounded like kids, like before puberty, he encountered two boys, so they sounded young. But the way the kid was talking was just supposed to be more like straight to the point. Like, excuse me.
Assertive children.
Yeah, like we left our money at home. We're going to go see Mortal Kombat. You need to drive us back home to our parents' house so we can get the money. We're not dangerous. Drive us home.
Hello.
Like
My
that.
favorite character is Baraka.
What?
What? Baraka. Baraka.
What?
Did you ever play Mortal Kombat? You don't know who Baraka is?
I did, but we kept the sound off so we wouldn't bug our parents.
Or like Raiden?
Anyways, they were just kids. They sounded like kids.
Just like, excuse me, we left some money at home and we're going to go see
British kids.
I'm not going to try to do it. So
Yeah, you're too sick for that, thankfully.
my voice hurts. So
Anyway, so now that you know kind of like the backstory of the Black-Eyed Children and kind of like what they do, what the lore around them is, I kind of want to talk with you about what you think they are. Because with the story of them coming into the house, and how they like kind of left it and the family got sick, kind of like they haunted them and the house is like haunted or whatever, I could kind of see them being like ghosts,
mm-hmm.
like little troubled souls who just kind of come in and wreak havoc.
I mean, that's a thought. I mean, from what I've heard, I mean, it does. I mean, it's like slight of like, I mean, it kind of sounds like a phenomena.
Well, also
But at the
because-
same time, it does sound like ghostly or spiritually. I mean, it could be like.
I mean, another reason is because their clothes don't change. Their clothes nowadays are outdated.
So it wasn't outdated back in 1997?
Apparently not, because from the stories I read, none of them mention anything about their clothes being outdated. Just that they were wearing hoodies.
Okay, so.
But if you look at the newer ones, they're like their jeans are weird, their shirts are weird, they have bowl cuts. So I don't know if there was like something happened with kids. Like I don't know my murderers or anything like that very well. I don't know if they were.
Do you know like
super
where
young kids.
this was at?
I mean,
Did it give you like a location on the story?
the very first one was in Texas. I think.
Tejas.
Let me double check before I get it wrong.
Texas in the 90s.
Abilene, Texas. But like the other ones, I don't like. I think there are stories from all over the U.S., but it's just the U.S.
Well, that's interesting that we have something singular to the U.S. actually.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because there's like haunted places, ghosts, spirits, aliens, sort of stuff. monsters type of stuff all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have something that's singular to the U.S.
Right. Which
so
is
that's
another
interesting.
reason why I kind of find it, BS. There's a lot of things that, like, it just doesn't make sense. Unless there is one theory out there that they're experiments from the U.S. government. That would kind of explain why they stick around the U.S. Except I don't know what purpose the government would have for making black-eyed children that tried to let them inside.
Well, what exactly does it say about, what did you read about the conspiracy theory government type of thing about?
That one I didn't really research on. Here, let me look around a bit. I just was, like, combing through the internet, and those were some basic ones. But like I said, the number one was aliens. Because they're, like, trying to draw you in. And I think the black-eyed thing has a thing. People thinking it's aliens because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess traditionally green guys, they generally have black eyes. But it's kind of weird how they take form of a children and why they would want to go see Mortal Kombat. So, yeah, but I mean, that's a theory. I mean, I could see that as being possible, I guess. I mean, I don't know how you exactly would like to word that.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying, like, it could be like one of the possibilities of like what they are, as aliens. But at the same time, I mean, I believe in aliens completely. I might not have any definitive proof, but there's plenty of people who've seen stuff, and some of those people are crazy, and some of those people I feel like have legitimate reasons. But that is a topic for.
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that was a video.
That is a topic for another day. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, aliens. That could be definitely possible. I mean, I guess that's just. It's kind of a weird way to abduct, person.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, it would also be a smart move, I feel like, for the aliens. I mean, children are generally seen as non-threatening, but I mean, these people, I guess, feel scared by them. So I mean, I don't know. That doesn't make sense at the same time.
It doesn't. So looking a little bit more here online, it kind of looks like it's mostly Midwest type things, because I've seen some from Texas, Kansas. I'm not really seeing anything like around that.
Us Midwesterners, we're crazy.
But I mean, it's mostly like they catch you alone. Like, it's usually small towns, or if you live in a house in the country, or if you're stopped on the side of a country road, that's when they catch you, when you're pretty isolated. So they don't like groups of people.
But they went after that couple in that house, I guess, though, so.
Yeah, with the child. But I mean, that's not like big groups, and like I said, there's always two or more, so there might have been more that they just didn't see. I don't know.
A whole class of them.
But I can't find anything specifically like, this is why they're government experiments, or this is why they're aliens. It's just what people are thinking. So, like, what was another one?
Government conspiracy, huh? Black-eyed children.
I guess it would be a way to get into our enemies' homes, but somehow they escaped.
Or it's another way to kill off us.
Oh my gosh. Really?
What?
You know what?
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, it'd be the perfect way to start killing off some people, especially just like us as Americans who the government see as threatening, or, something like that. They could just send these kids to these door, and they get invited in, and even if they manage to shut the door before the shadows come in or whatever, they get sick and they die, and no one's gonna believe an American who claims that they saw two black-eyed children or three or four on their doorstep, and for some reason that's the reason they have skin cancer or some crazy disease that doesn't make sense.
Anyway, moving away from government conspiracies.
Sorry, I'm just saying it's a possibility.
The one that made the least sense to me was Skinwalker. I saw that one floating around a little bit, and to me, a Skinwalker is a thing that takes the form of another person. Like, technically, they're walking around in someone else's skin.
Mm-hmm.
That, I don't know, compared to the other theories, that one just really didn't make sense to me.
I mean, a skinwalker, that'd be more like it's like a creature that takes the form of something to get something. So, to me, it would be more than just black-eyed children. It would take a form of something else, too. If the black-eyed children aren't working, they would just take the form of something different and go back to the same house to, eat or murder or whatever these people do if you don't shut that door.
Yeah, so that one really didn't make sense. But one that I hadn't thought of and have not seen across the internet, although it makes perfect sense, you mentioned it, is vampire.
Vampire, yeah.
These things only come out, like, the only stories you see are... The only stories you see are of them in the middle of the night. They won't come in unless you invite them in. Black eyes, once again, devil-type things, like, demon-type things, which...
there's some portrayals of vampires that have black eyes, when they feed or whatever, so...
Yeah. So what if they're just, like, little children vampires who are trying to manipulate you, and like also the feeling that you have to stay there, that you have to let them in. Aren't there like hypnotism and vampires?
I think it's called compulsion.
Compulsion.
They're supposed to be able to compel you into doing something. So they could just look at you and be like, "You want me? You invite me in."
Yeah.
Or something like that, and you just like, okay, come in.
For me, that and ghosts, that makes total sense. Why isn't that on the internet? Like, black-eyed children are freaking vampires. It makes total sense.
It does, but at the same time, how do you expect the diseases that get left by?
That's only one story. That's only one instance.
I guess that's true. So
I honestly, like I said, I only had a couple hours of research, but I couldn't find another story where someone let them in, because this couple apparently was stupid and let children with black eyes in their house. Yeah,
I like that theory of vampires. It's an interesting thing. We'll probably do an episode on just vampires one day, but yeah, I could see that. Vampires or ghosts to me are like the most logical possibilities for black-eyed children from the information you told me. Like I said, I think I heard a little bit of black-eyed children on a Shane Dawson YouTube video one time. Other than that, I really don't know shit about it. And I'm not saying Shane Dawson doesn't do his research, but I feel like most of the time he just skims the surface.
I think he does too. He talks about a lot of different things in his videos, but
Yeah, but I like Shane Dawson, so I'm not throwing shade or nothing. So.
Well, I personally think that if you guys at home want to research this more, definitely concentrate on like the earlier ones, like it being two boys in hoodies asking you for something. Like if it turns into something more like two girls or a boy and a girl and their language changes, I generally don't believe it. I believe that they're there for attention and that they didn't actually see a black-eyed child. Because these people posting these stories, I genuinely believe that they believe they saw this and can't explain it. I'm not calling anybody crazy or anything. I'm just saying personally, I haven't found any evidence for this stuff. But if you guys want to research this, definitely focus on the hoodies, the two boys, them like talking and acting like adults, and just yeah, if any of that starts to venture, I wouldn't really trust the story too much.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'd definitely try out those YouTube like documentary type of things you were talking about. That's probably interesting. I don't know about that, Black Eyed Children Let Me In thing or whatever, because it's possibly just a stupid horror movie. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, just look into that stuff. And like I said, I feel like Shane Dawson talks about him a couple times in several videos. So maybe if you put all that information together, you might get a broader aspect of it too. But yeah, I mean, this is actually kind of interesting. So I might actually do my own research into this after this.
It's spooky and fun.
You never know. We might talk about this again, or probably not actually, because we did an episode. I mean, unless there's like some crazy developments or like shit that I find that's like way different,
Like I said, there's a book. I would really like to read that book. I think it's called something like My Encounter with the Black Eyed Children or something like that.
Yeah, because, I mean, it sounds interesting. I mean, it's almost like when you talk about the fear and like them being essentially paralyzed, like in fear and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of creepy because it just makes me think of, the shadow people and like the night terrors and the sleep paralysis, stuff like that, where you wake up but you can't move because you're paralyzed, and you see like these shadow people and stuff like that. But so,
the only difference is sleep paralysis is a real thing. Like, that's a legit medical condition.
Yeah, but what about the shadow people? You gotta watch that documentary, The Nightmare. It's really good. It talks about night terrors, sleep paralysis, and all this different stuff, but also talks about the whole, people talk about like a shadow people that they see like during these things and stuff like that. I don't know. It's actually pretty interesting. I recommend anyone to watch that. It was on Netflix for the longest time. Not sure if it's still on there now, but look it up, The Nightmare. So.
Spooky.
Yep. Spooky stuff.
But yeah, sorry if this podcast was a little janky, guys. We're both feeling under the weather and recording in a space that was not made for recording.
Yeah, I kind of got sick these last couple of days, but also, we've kind of had some big decisions happening and moves and stuff that are going to happen with us. Because we were originally going to do an episode on Ghost, and I even bought a book, and I was reading through it. But all that stuff happened, and I got a little distracted, and I wasn't able to read as much as I wanted to. And then I got sick. And, Gabby was already kind of sick. And
I got him sick. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so she ended up taking the reins, for this episode, which I love that she did. She's making it a little less stressful on me, but I don't know. I think this is a decent episode too, because honestly, I'm interested in these black-eyed kids.
Yeah.
So.
They're also, if you're researching, sometimes they don't refer to them as black-eyed children. They'll either refer to them as black-eyed kids or B-E-K.
I was about to say like B-E-K.
Yeah, B-E-K.
All right.
It reminds me of BTK too much. That's why I didn't refer to it as that.
Just some information out there for you fellas is me and my wife. Well, I am definitely from Wichita, Kansas. My wife is technically from a small town out, like, barely, like, 15 minutes away from Wichita or whatever. Yeah. So, we'll probably do an episode on BTK one day. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
There are several, technically, of our hometown murders that we could do. There's a lot more than just Dennis Rader.
There's some really interesting ones with not so much information, so it'd be tough to maybe an episode, but maybe one time we'll just do, like, an episode of, like, our, Wichita hometown murder type of things, and we'll just discuss several different ones that are pretty popular.
Yeah.
So, that was our podcast. That's the house on Podcast Hill, everybody. So I guess this is goodbye.
And don't let them in.
Hear that, folks? Don't let them in.
Don't let them in.
Yep. Whatever that documentary tells you about the black-eyed kids, let them in. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's false.
It's false. Very false.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Don't die, people. Bye-bye.
Bye.